This video is to help you create a classroom assignment, and now that you've picked a school at which you think you'd want to work at, and you've done some research on the learning community, and you've looked at the curriculum and created a standards-based lesson plan for that learning community, now it's time to create your classroom. And hopefully you've been thinking about your educational philosophy this whole time, because that's really what's going to underline how you organize your actual physical space, what kind of procedures you'll be having in that physical space, what kinds of rewards and consequences that you'll have, and how you'll respond to students' behavior. So depending on how you feel will determine what kind of classroom it is. For example, a democratic classroom might have establishing rules together, so you might have spaces in which this can occur. Conversely, if you believe that education is more effective with you completely in charge, then you'll probably organize your physical spaces in clear rows to minimize disruption, and you'll have some procedures that limit students' movement. Whatever you decide, it has to be based on your own philosophy, and there's no right or wrong answer, but it has to be something that you really feel comfortable doing. So to go through each step, I encourage you to review each resource below the question that you'll be answering. You can also use other resources that'll help you answer these questions. Just make sure you cite them. And so let's go through it step by step. So step one is describing the type of classroom environment that you want to create in your classroom. What's your vision? So there are some resources from the text that talks about different types of classroom. Then in step two, describe the philosophical approach you'll want to create in that desired classroom. So you'll be looking at all of these different types of philosophical approaches. What would make you comfortable? Again, you don't have to cover every resource, just find something that gets your interest. Then let's see what it looks like. Draw a classroom that reflects your philosophical approach. And again, if you've done this in another class, that's great. What's different about this assignment for you is that now you're trying to explain why it fits your philosophical approach. So I encourage you to use other resources such as what you find in other classes. Then list the procedures and rules you'll have in that classroom and describe again how it reflects your philosophical approach. So as we said, you may have rewards and consequences for a democratic classroom versus one that is just teacher-centered. Then in step five, identify a common type of behavior, doesn't have to be negative, that you might counter in your classroom. Describe how you would respond to it and how it reflects on your philosophical approach. So again, preventive discipline versus corrective discipline does tell you what kind of teacher that you are going to do or be. And then when you're finished, you can present these any way you like electronically using YouTube. You can just word process it, podcast it, whatever you think. PowerPoint, some of you did a great job in PowerPoint recently. It's wonderful. And then save your answers in a word processor. Submit it to Lalima Assignments by the due date indicated, and let's take a look at an example real quick. This is Waipahu Elementary. There's their philosophical approach, which is on social justice. Then they talk about the classroom that they're going to create. They drew a classroom, talked about some of the things in the classroom, and then some of the rules they'll have, and some of the consequences, and then how they'll respond to students' behavior. In this way, you will have completed the entire gambit from your identification of the school all the way to how you would actually run the classroom. And that's it. Thanks.